Hello and welcome to another episode of Tech Twins, the Israel in Dubai podcast. With us today is Snir, the CEO of EZbra. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, Achiad. How are you doing? I'm good.
Good. So, Ron, why are you here? What brought you to Dubai?
Yeah, so first of all, it's my first time in Dubai. It's very exciting. I came for Arab Health to meet some of our distributors and prospect distributors. Arab Health is the first, I think, or maybe the biggest medical device exhibition that happens in Dubai once a year. And it brings together probably all the big companies in the medical device space from the Arab world, but not only. Many Chinese, Indian, Japanese, Australian companies come here. And it's a great opportunity to network and to find new contacts and to increase our reach and our presence. And this is actually our first time. We usually visit other exhibitions in Europe and in the US. And for us, it's the first time to visit Dubai and to approach so directly to the crowd here.
It's interesting because, I know almost nothing about medicine, but I know that, the US or Europe, they've always been regarded as the mecca of medicine. If you want to get money for investments, especially in the medical field, go to the US. Why Dubai?
So first of all, things are changing now. I think it's very obvious for everyone who live here and spend time here to see the growth of healthcare in general, hospitals, prestigious doctors that move here, and of course, very good healthcare services for people, healthcare tourism. So things are changing and changing rapidly, as it always the case in Dubai and in the Emirates. And not only that, but also the Arab world is a big world, and they also want to advance the healthcare services. They want to live longer, and they want to live better. So I think Dubai made the decision to invest in this space in general, not just Arab Health, but Arab Health is definitely one of the portrayals of that decision.
And for you, as as an Israeli company, what made you decide to break the tradition and come to Arab Health and come to Dubai? What are you looking for here exactly?
So first of all, I had few distributors of ours that told me they're gonna come here, and they asked me if I am or anyone from EZbra is starting to participate, and I was quite hesitant at the beginning, but I decided to give it a try. And I found out that not only me, there are many Israeli companies coming here. And I am very hopeful, by the way, that there will be a national pavilion next year, because I've seen so many national pavilions in the show, and we are always, I think, very proud to see the Israeli flag, and under these circumstances, even more.
Fantastic. So EZbra is a femtech company, right? Tell us a bit about it.
So EZbra is a company, 8 years old, that was established by Chairwoman, who is a breast cancer survivor. She decided to tackle the issue of dressing after surgery, and she developed a product that is applied immediately after surgeries in the OR room, and afterwards women can use the product or by themselves independently at home. So the product is a dressing. It's not a bra, but we call it EZbra just for the sake of understanding what's the use. And it's a medical device grade, FDA and CE approved.
So it's basically for medical purposes only, right?
Yeah, it's for medical purposes only, and for the first 5 days after the surgery.
And it's a product that I believe it's very successful, and it's part of the whole femtech ecosystem. Is there a femtech ecosystem in Israel? How would you describe it?
Yeah, so first of all, there is a femtech ecosystem because there are lots of women and companies that are involved in this space. There are about 50 companies that want to develop solutions, various solutions. Ours is a hardware solution, or it's a real product, but there are lots of other applications and AI tools for women to manage their health and to allow them to have better products that can apply to the special needs of women in the healthcare space. This is what is femtech about.
Okay.
However, I think everything that is related to women and is usually established by women is going under this femtech space. And there are a few hubs, ecosystems, and accelerators for that, because everyone now understands that women health is something that is unique. And most of the people who invest in healthcare and even treat women are men. And they don't necessarily understand the needs. So
How so?
so usually the surgeons, when they operate a woman, they don't necessarily understand how she feels after the surgery. And of course, the breast area is even more sensitive than others. And when that happens, then they don't think about the recovery and how she feels once she's out of the OR. And what we wanted to tackle is the idea that the woman can feel better after leaving the OR with a dedicated and designated device for a breast.
And is it only for women?
So no, it can apply for men as well. And as you know, there is about 3% rate of men that have breast cancer. And now many men are also doing breast reduction. So it can actually apply to them. However, the purpose of the product, and that's why we call ourselves a femtech company, was to apply it to women. We now know that actually men can use it, and perhaps we will even develop it further to apply it to chest surgeries and not just breast.
And while developing this, I mean, it's an impressive femtech product. Have you encountered any challenges? I mean, is the femtech industry challenging in any way?
I think we encountered many challenges, but this is not unique to us. Every startup has many challenges. And first of all, I've been the CEO for the past 2.5 years. So I haven't been with the company since its establishment. However, the challenges we had were, to my opinion, mainly two challenges that I should speak about. The first one is raising money, which is difficult. And it's much more difficult for women to raise money. I think it's very obvious. Yeah.
Okay.
I think all the numbers suggest that, and it's pretty obvious that women do a lesser job in raising money in general, and specifically in femtech. So if we look at femtech, when you come to a VC or to an angel investor and you talk to them about a need of a woman, they don't necessarily understand what you talk about, because they are usually, statistics-wise, they are men. So that's the first challenge we had, and we still have it, okay? Raising money for a femtech company is definitely harder than other spaces out there. That's one. And I can say that because I also invested in the company, so I can say that from very first sight. The second challenge we had, and we still have this as well, is that we need to educate the market, and we need to bring to the market a product that we believe is much better than what is the standard care today. However, it is difficult to convince medical teams, whether they are doctors or nurses, to try something new. And this is always hard when we talk about medical device and healthcare products. Not that when you come with a cybersecurity solution, it's easy, but definitely very, very hard to even walk into a surgeon room, get 15 minutes of his time, and then try to show him something that he believes he doesn't need.
Let's go back a little bit. You mentioned the difficulties of bringing something new to the world. You previously served as a trade commissioner of Israel to Singapore and Indonesia. I believe there you were exposed to many Israeli startups who are trying to make their way in the world, right? How did this experience actually shape your understanding? in how should a startup conduct itself, whether it's in the medical industry or any other industry, of bringing itself to other markets, opening new horizons?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first of all, I think in general in business, okay, what I do is business, right? I run the business. So in business and in anything you do, whether you are, a lawyer or a doctor, the most important thing is experience. And I've been sitting in many boardrooms and in many meetings, seeing people trying to sell products, seeing people trying to pitch, seeing companies convincing enterprises to adopt new solutions. So I think the fact that I've seen many spaces and various spaces, okay, it could be agriculture and it could be cyber and fintech and whatever. And I was sitting in the rooms and I was just observing, because that's mainly what a trade commissioner does when it brings the companies over. He just looks at the room and trying to read the room and understand what should we do better and how we can actually make business. So I think this taught me a lot about how to conduct my own, behavior when I go into a room. The other thing I think is that in Singapore, in any case, a lot of companies come to seek for funds, and you learn a lot from that as well. And since EZbra has been raising money, we've raised 9 million so far. And I meet a lot of investors, so it also helped me a lot to kind of shape my not my pitch only, but my value proposition when I portray EZbra's potential.
Regarding funds, is it more difficult for a femtech startup to pitch for funds?
To my opinion, very much so. I also read a lot about this, and I think that the statistics and a lot of people in that space believe the same. And again, I think it's very reasonable if you think about it. First of all, the needs of women are not always understood. Second, the needs of women are not always getting empathy or sympathy from the investor. And the last thing I would say is that it's not very clear what is the market potential. Okay.
How so exactly?
Because you talk about women needs, but it's very hard to quantify those needs. Okay. You can come up with with some kind of numbers, but I find that people are not convinced that the problem that you raise as a woman health problem is actually as big as you want to believe it as a founder. Okay. And then you need to convince the investor who sits in the room that it is actually a big problem for women. And again, and never mind the number, whether it's 80% or 90% of investors and decision-making in funds and in family offices are men, then of course you have another obstacle.
Yeah, because they would never experience this themselves.
Exactly. So I think, again, if you talk to a woman, at least she can understand, or she can envision the difficulty or the challenge that you want to tackle and resolve. With the men, it's even harder. And the same goes when we go to a surgeon, a male surgeon, that operates on women, for years, but he doesn't know how she feels when she walks out of the OR with inappropriate dressing. He doesn't know because, first of all, she wouldn't tell him. And second, because not necessarily they are so interested in that, So I think the femtech space has two main difficulties as far as I see. One, they need to be able to describe the problem properly and show that there is a real problem, and also convey that message to men, because again, I don't blame them. They're men. They don't know these problems, right? And the second thing is how to make them write a check to a woman that is trying to resolve another woman problem, which is a real challenge. And I think that not only in femtech and in startups, but we probably can find examples of this in other places, in the world, that men do not necessarily understand. And unlike other things, they would not easily throw money at this problem because they don't even understand the problem.
So having this in mind, all those challenges, and looking back at development of your product, is there anything that you would have done differently in marketing the product?
I think, first of all, the whole concept of medical innovation is something that should be very relevant to many funds, but you need to talk about the innovation in the product and less about the end user, which is a woman. Yeah, who is a woman? That's the approach I would take. So a broader approach and a more medical device approach, and not the specific approach of femtech. Because the way I look at it is that we have a potential of investors that can invest in us as EZbra, and we have limited ourselves to a smaller potential within that space. Yeah, and that's not necessarily wise. It looks nice and fun on paper, but really, when you see that it's already difficult for you to achieve and reach those funds, then you need to broaden the scope. And I also think that a lot of companies, not EZbra, because EZbra has a very designated product, but they need to think about pivot, probably much earlier than they usually do when they see that some direction doesn't work.
But then, isn't it difficult? I mean, in your case, the product can apply to men, but I believe it's not in every scenario.
Yeah, but still, if you approach 20 femtech funds, and I believe that there are 50 funds, 100 funds. If you approach 20 funds and you see that you don't get support or enthusiasm from them, you should just try to think about a broader scope and how to position the company in a broader light than just femtech. If you got, I don't know, a few $1 million from good femtech funds and there is a community behind you that supports you, that's wonderful. But if there is no community that supports you for whatever reason, they don't like the product, they don't see the need, they think it's too premature, the risks, the team, whatever, then I think you better look at the broader scope. I think all companies do that when they raise funds. They try to understand, okay, not this education and not B2C and other. And the same goes with the femtech companies. I have to admit that a lot of founders in this space, they come with a very emotional agenda. Meaning that there is a need that really speaks to them, their own need or their friends' needs or something that is close to heart. And with that, they come and raise money and they build a company. And when you reach a stage where you sit with a fund and you pitch a company, there should be very little emotions there at that point. And you need to focus on what, first of all, is the reality of the product and your solution. And second, what actually speaks to the investor. And you kind of have to meet in the middle. So you can't just grab this femtech and go all the way if the investor doesn't really understand what is femtech, what you want from him, or what the woman needs.
But isn't it the case regarding medical devices in general? That it's an emotionally driven thing? I mean, improving symptoms, improving quality of life. It's in medicine across the board.
Yes, but first of all, we see that it's a world full of money, right? And we see the aesthetic industry grows, rapidly, and I don't, I don't think that we need to look at medicine this way. Okay. And I think when we speak to doctors, we see that they don't see it this way anymore. With all due respect, they're not public servants any longer all around the world. Yeah, they want to treat people. They want to help people. But I do believe that a lot of the people who invented all these latest AI, models, they also think that they help the world maybe even much more than doctors. Then I think this whole view of we are going to save people, we're going to help people, I think it should abandon the discussion. And people who develop a product and they love the product, it's great. Without passion, you would not succeed. However, it's not about whether emotionally I'm involved or not. Every founder of every company, even if it's boring like hell, he is emotionally involved in the company. And he cares about his product and he believes in the product that he developed. I believe that things and founders in femtech or not femtech, they have to be very pragmatic. They have to be very straightforward with the offering and the value proposition, and talk again less about saving, not saving, feeling, not feeling, and talk about business. That would help everyone. It will help the femtech space, but it would also help these founders get funded.
So we spoke about femtech earlier, about how it's a whole ecosystem that was developed from specific needs of women in medicine. So it's an ecosystem with a lot of passion from the people, from the ground up, to solve something that matters to them. Could you expand about this a little bit?
Yeah, I think in general in healthcare today, and I look a lot at the wellness world as well, people have their own thinking of their own health. Okay, they have doctors, yes, and there are a lot of facilities and facilitation of healthcare services, but people have their own mindset on their healthcare. And women in specific, because they usually are in charge of the health of the household, they are thinking about their needs. They're thinking about the migraines. They're thinking about the fertility and all other issues that are related to them more than to men. And they want to solve them, or they want to find better ways to live their lives in different contexts of their physical being and also emotional and mental being. And I think this leads to women trying to come up with solutions to fix those conditions, situations, feelings that they have. And many of the, femtech and healthcare solutions that I see are invented by women or created by women and developed by women that just want to solve their own problems. And then they find out that it's not only their problems. There are many, many women who share the same issues. So I think that's great. I see this trend all over healthcare, not just for women's issues. But I think it is quite good that people deserve solutions for their problems and are not being still about their issues.
And previously you served as a trade commissioner of Israel to Singapore and Indonesia. Now you are CEO of a big startup company. How did you manage to navigate that as a woman with all the challenges that it faces? How do you navigate it? Can you please tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I think most women who have senior positions, they face these challenges. I have to say that I've been a manager from quite a young age. So I've seen this, room full of men many times in my life. And I'm kind of used to it. So in whatever capacity I was, I'm not really excited by this. But it's a choice that you have to make every time you take a position, every time you make a career decision. Because first of all, that you will have to sacrifice some things. We women, we usually not only work, we do other things as well. And we have kids, we have families, we have partners, parents, and social life. So all these things are quite important to us, and to do all these things while making sure that your business has the best management it can have could be quite challenging. So I would say that the first challenge of a woman taking such a role is actually the combination of your personal life and family life, and then your professional life. That, I think, is much more challenging, difficult than having room full of men sitting next to you or in front of you. And then you need to be very adamant about the way you lead, because women, can feel a little bit maybe emotional sometimes when they have emotional situations at work. And I feel that I am also, challenged with this. and I need to strengthen myself, and I need to make sure that I do what I believe is needed. And I think I honestly think that men usually don't encounter these, tricky situations with employees, with investors, with stakeholders. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a man, but I do feel that there are a lot of emotions to manage at work. And I also think that it's a decision that you have to make every time that you go into a room, that you try to leave your gender outside the room. It's not easy. It's not obvious. And obviously you don't really leave the gender outside, but this is what you need to do. I think it's still, even in 2025, it's still very challenging to be a woman and a businesswoman, and to lead a business with mainly merit when you have so much toll to bear that is not necessarily in the context of work. But I do hope that I will see more women do that. But at the same time, I understand the difficulties, my own difficulties, and difficulties of many other colleagues of mine who are women.
You mentioned many things here, right? Many components of your life as a woman. How do you view success? It interests me. How do you view success?
Yeah. So first of all, for me, success is not really related to money. But however, in the context of having a startup with investors, so really the first success would be to give value to your investors. And we need to be very fair about this, okay? I have investors who put money on me and on the company, and I need to give them their money back with a good yield. So first of all, it's a very practical success the way I see it. The second success, of course, is that we actually mattered. We mattered to patients, we mattered to surgeons. We did something in the healthcare world and in the medical device world that will continue to affect as many people as possible. So this is my second objective, but I always work with objectives, and my first objective as a CEO in whatever I do is that if you give me $100, I will give you back 400 or 1,000 if I can, but definitely give you back your money. So that's my success, and I think people also need to be very humble with their success. Success is not about me. Success is not about Ron selling or doing. It's about taking a thing from A and bringing it to B or E, or, if you manage to do though, to Z. So that's my definition of success.
And what would you suggest? You're prominent, successful. You've had multiple careers in your life. What would you suggest to a young woman who is now beginning her career? What should she do? How should she conduct herself to success?
It's a very good question, and I don't think I feel very confident answering it. But in any event, I have to say that the first thing I would say is make sure that you know where you want to go, okay, and what you want to achieve. Meaning, describe your objectives to yourself, and then understand what is your alternative. So, if you want to become a CEO, and you want to do your own things, then that's your objective. Now go get it. The best thing that you need, the first thing you need to do is, first of all, have a good team around you that would support you. And a team could be an investor, an advisor, a mentor, and definitely your colleagues. That's the first thing I would do. And the second thing is, remember that everything is incremental. So you move from A to A plus, to A plus, to A plus plus. You do it slowly, and you do it with a plan, and you do it with the right people. And sometimes we choose the wrong people, and we need to fix it very fast. And it's very hard for women to do that. Yeah, I have to say that this is a point where, women, I assume, are less likely to adapt than men. And I recommend women, first of all, to try. Second, to have an objective and see whether you get there or not. and third, to always adapt. And I personally think that my life, I had a lot of shifts. I had the luxury of having shifts because I'm just a very curious person and I like to do different things. And I have a very supported family. But I think that today, young women today need to make decisions that are pragmatic and based on their passion. And with that, it's a lot of different advisors, but at the end, I think trying even once and then going back to step one and rethinking is much better than not trying. And I think actually this is all, it's a very Israeli thing to say.
Yeah, definitely. Try and fail, and failure is the key to success as well.
Definitely.
Concluding this discussion, how do you see the future of femtech? How do you see the future of medical devices, let's say in the next 5 to 10 years?
So first of all, I'm quite optimistic because I think that the world is changing for the good. In terms that medicine is coming and is approachable to many more people around the world. That's one. Second, I think that the space has a lot of money that is probably not being deployed as much as in other spaces. So there is a lot of room to grow. I think that the regulators can do a lot more to support this industry. So I don't think it can get much worse than it is now, and it can probably get much better. And there are a lot of people that are talking about this, especially in the US after Trump was elected, that things will get easier. And third, I think people are now very much, the high end are looking at wellness, which is very interesting for them, how they live longer, live better, lead a more healthy life. And people invest their own money into that in different, segments. And on top of that, people believe that they deserve better healthcare. And they would pay for better healthcare for themselves, or they would demand the systems to provide them better healthcare. So I see a very bright future. And I think this all upcoming femtech companies, whether it started 10 years ago or 20 years ago, I think all this demand for women to find solutions for their own needs is part of a bigger trend of people that are saying, look, I have the ability to understand my condition. I understand that I need to live healthier, not just live longer. And I think this is very common now and prevalent that people want to lead great life even when they are 86. And due to that, the whole system would move at that direction. Not to mention that people have money and the world in general, and they spend money on healthcare more and more. And we can see that. And again, healthcare is a very big word. There are things that, that are very obvious to us, and there are things that are less obvious to us. But to me, I see people being more cognizant of their health, individual health, and I see the abundance of money in healthcare companies. I do hope that we will see an influx of funds going into that, because this is definitely, there is, a gap between that and anything that is software related, AI related funding.
Okay, so Ron, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it, and see you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.